Hey everyone, my name is Brittany. I'm 22 years old, and 2 years ago I decided that I wanted to become a nurse. So this series is offering some helpful tips and tricks to show you how I got through that journey and hopefully inspire some others who are on the same path as I am. This is the third video in the series that I have on how to become an LPN or how to get into the nursing field. And this video is going to be more so geared towards once you're already in your program, you may have already started or you may be getting started pretty soon, just giving you some tips from my experience on how to get organized for this type of program. Having all this information smushed into a small period of time, but having all the resources available at the beginning of the semester that you are going into. So for me personally, for each class that we had, we did have online access to most of the information as far as PowerPoints and just other resources so that we could go on and have a little bit of a heads up as to what was to come. And prep your life. Prep for your freaking life, because if you are in an LPN program where you have to come back the next day and the next day and the next day, then the madness is not going to stop. So if you take the time before you even start to just get all of this planned out, get your dividers in there, have everything nice and set up so that if you get to school and you didn't do nothing at home, it looks like you did a lot more than you really did and you're a lot more prepared for class. So that is my biggest piece of advice for going into the LPN program. Plan ahead, organize ahead, get yourself some calendars, get yourself some color-coded markers so you know exactly what you have to do. So when you are starting your LPN program and you have access to PowerPoints before the days that you're going to be going over them, I would absolutely recommend you get a binder. Let me show you guys my binder. I had one of these binders for each class that we had. I believe I had about 6 of these, and I printed out covers for them. So on the front it says Nursing Fundamentals, and then I have the 2 books that were used for this particular class. Then you have my name, you have the instructor's name, and my name's also here as well, so that it's very easy for me to know what binders for what subject. On the back I also have written my due dates. Now these due dates were given to me at the beginning of the school, well, beginning of the term. If anything changes, and I changed it myself, but because of how condensed this class was, I had tests every day. These are the chapters for the test. This is the test number, and then these are the chapters that you have to know for that particular test. So literally day after day after day, we had a different test every day, and then we had chapters that we had to know for the discussion on the same day that we had the test. Okay, so when you have this much information going on, I actually have color-coded 2 different classes that were going on at the same time. So we had Body Systems and Functions, which is basically anatomy and physiology, and then you have the red, which is Nursing Fundamentals, and both of those things were going on at the same time. You have some projects thrown in there, you have a case study thrown in there, which is done on, what is it, McGraw-Hill, and then you have like ATI thrown in there as well. If you are familiar with ATI or Kaplan, that's what that is, and it's all just smushed together in this big jumble of a schedule. So when you have an LPN program where you are forced to have multiple classes going on at one time, you're gonna need a schedule, because on top of that you have clinicals. So here on these 2 columns here, these are all clinical days. These are all 8-hour clinical days that we're having, and then the rest of the week you have tests thrown in there, you have projects thrown in there. So I have it on a calendar all planned out, color-coded, so all I have to do is look at my calendar for the day and know exactly what's going on. And you probably can't notice, but this is handwritten. This calendar is handwritten. So that really it's kind of funny, but I needed it handwritten so that the boxes were super huge. But that is just showing you how organized you really have to be for a program like this, and so that you're able to keep track of your work, because that's a lot to keep up with. I mean, it really is. I mean, you have a final one day and you have a final the next day, and this is only a month. Every Monday and Tuesday were clinical days, you know, so it's a lot. It's crazy. It really is. I'm sitting here laughing because I'm like, I don't know how the heck I did this, but that is what we had to go through. So staying organized and using the resources that you have available before you even start the program, that is really important. So what school, if I hadn't done anything, I can look at my calendar, I can look at the chapters, and I'll have all this information already there. So I have a cover sheet for each unit. This is unit 1. And then the teacher gave us objectives for each unit. So I'd have my objectives right after my cover sheet. What she would do is have the chapters and stuff already there for you. So by printing all this out, you have no excuse to forget anything, and it's all perfectly organized for you. And then this is actually the PowerPoint that the professor allowed us to have access to prior to the days that we would be going through the PowerPoint. And what I did was I would print out the outline version of the PowerPoint so that I have all of this information condensed down into a couple pages, so as she's going through the PowerPoint, I'm able to see the information that she's going over. And I did this for every single chapter. Okay, now I was able to take notes on certain things like this. Now I have more notes in my body systems and functions binder, because that was like anatomy and physiology, but pretty much it's the same concept. So then you got unit 3 here, and I just did that for all of my units. So for each separate class that we had, I did the same thing. Now further along I actually started to use Quizlet a lot more, and depending on the chapter that we had, I would literally look the chapter up on Quizlet, and I would find these pages full of just information relating to the chapter. So I was able to kind of study that stuff. Like this is care of preoperative and intraoperative surgical patients. So if I just Google that and add Quizlet to it, it would show me all the information on Quizlet that people have thrown on there. And I would just print those and stick them in there with my outlines. As you can see, I'd add notes in there as well. And I did this for every single class that we had. Now, further on, when we started getting to the PowerPoints that had more pictures in them, I would just print my PowerPoints like this and store them in the binder. And like I said, I printed all of these PowerPoints prior to starting the year. So all of this stuff was already done when I started my classes. We have access to our printer, and pretty much all you had to do was bring your own paper, and you can print as much as you wanted. So we lit that printer up so much, all this was printed on that printer. Okay, seeds, same thing in here, lots of PowerPoints. Okay, I've got one for maternity and newborn, same thing. I've got one for body structure and function. I've got one for I think this was my exam study guides. I mean, I had to make this stuff work for me. I had to make it interesting because of the fact that it was so much stuff. I mean, it was a lot. So by having all of these binders labeled and organized, and then my pink one right here, having all these binders labeled and organized, it made life so much easier. Like, it really did. So that is my biggest tip to you. If you are starting your LPN program, use your resources, print the PowerPoints, make your binders, label everything, because the more information that you have, the better. The more prepared you are, the better, and the more likely you are to be prepared for class. So yeah, if you have any questions regarding that topic, please let me know. But yeah, I don't think I can add anything else to that. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll leave all my social media networks down below as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.